So it's Janet Folks, and it's Janet, which is Janet, and then Folks, which is F for Freddie, Olkes. So all I remember was that apparently at a parents' evening, one of the teachers told them I had a very good flair for chemistry. And I was like, do I? You know, I didn't know if I did or didn't. But I do remember then liking the teacher, you know, obviously because he'd given me a good report or something. And they had this thing about, I think it was like making sherbet or something, where you have citric acid and something else. And we had to write up the experiment. And the person that wrote up it the best got sweet or something. Well, I apparently got 10 out of 10, and somebody else got 10 out of 10. So we had this sweet that we had to, I don't know, divide between us. So I gave it to the other guy, but that's sort of the only thing I remember really about the chemistry. But I remember the labs as well, where we had gas taps coming into the thing, and we had these bottles of acid in front of us, and I just thought, can't we just mix them all together and things like that? Mainly because I, you know, was good at chemistry, and so I continued being good at chemistry. I did an A-level in it, and I did maths, physics and chemistry as A-level, and you know, that was it really. What else? Well, I went to university and did chemistry there, but I didn't want to become a chemist and stuck in a lab, so I did geology. So I did joint honours geology chemistry, so I could actually not be outdoors some of the time and not indoors all the time, which I thought a chemist would do. Oh, I've done a lot of jumping around, but it's all had the sort of same theme really. I like knowing what's going on at, I don't know, a very deeper level than most people into things. So I was doing geology chemistry, and so I was interested in what happens in rocks when they cool. And so I did an MSc in solid state chemistry, looking at what actually happens to the atoms when these things cool and that sort of thing. And then ended up working and getting a PhD, which I had a choice of doing one in rocks or one with lasers. And these lasers were about the size of this room, and were, I thought, very interesting. They were welding and that sort of thing, lots of sparks. And so I thought, oh, I'll have a go at that. At least it was applied, and that was with Rolls-Royce. So that was ending up looking at metals, which were just similar to rocks, but not quite. I'm a senior research fellow and just become a lecturer, and I'm on the water jet. We have a 5-axis water jet machine, and the East Midlands Development Agency has given the university some money to develop it, and we have a lot of interaction with local industry, especially Rolls-Royce, and we do lots of projects for them. And so I'm the one that is responsible really for everything to do with the water jet at Nottingham, getting the work in and making sure everybody's happy. Well, it's just water really. Like if you can imagine a waterfall, it's like that, and the waterfall erodes the rock it goes over, but this is just pressurising the water to very high pressures, and it comes out of a tiny nozzle which is about 1 millimetre wide, and you can cut with it, and it's just incredible that the force manages to cut, but it does. And it's a supersonic jet, I think. It's coming out about 2,000 miles an hour. And it hits the metal or whatever. We've got carbon fibre, it can machine any material. And you can and cannot, sometimes you can do water only, and other times you can put abrasive in, and that helps it. It just goes faster, and you can cut using the abrasive. And the typical abrasive we use is something called garnet. So it is like your garnets you get in jewellery, but it's obviously not the high quality ones that you get. So. Most like just using the water jet and actually getting some work done on it. And the bit I least like is sitting down writing up all the paperwork and all the experimental results and I mean, I like analysing it, it's just writing it all up. And it's satisfying to write it up, but we also have to do a lot of quotes and things like that to, you know, make sure the work gets paid for or what costed properly. And that's, what's the word? By the time you've done all that, you don't have a lot of time to do the real work and getting the results analysed. Well, on the water jet, there's other projects as well, but mainly on the water jet. I'm hoping to get to fruition some of the work we've been doing, and we've got some innovative work on this milling where you remove a certain small amount of material, and that needs a lot of research done on it before it becomes a process that can go into industry. Things like water jet peening, where you put the water onto a surface and impart a stress in the surface to harden it. and there's been a lot of issues around that, and maybe we can do that as well. Not anymore. I think I used to, but now it's just a case of making sure there's a good foundation and the work's being continued on, and the training for the students is there, that we're at the forefront of the technology and just maintaining a lead, really. It's, for me personally, just to see some of the things that we've done go into industry, that's a satisfying thing to do, to know that you were the first one to invent something. But you know, we're a university, we're for teaching, so to have the ability to transfer this new technology into the students and let them go away into industry knowing a bit more about something is better. I think it's more that when, you know, I first started, I was, you know, the guru in lasers, and I was specifically, you know, dedicated to one particular area of lasers, and it got me to, I went to work in Japan for 2 years, you know, I went to Germany, I got asked to work for NASA, and you know, whilst that was fantastic and everything, you're very specialised and dedicated to a small area, and I think that's a great drive to have. But you know, now I'm a bit older and not necessarily wiser, but I just don't have that same drive to become the world leader in that. All I want to do now is just to become knowledgeable and in a whole broad, like the world's bigger than that really, so a broader subject. So. I think with mine, it's quite easy, because you know, if you say lasers to people, then you know they know sort of what they think about lasers. But with water, it's also fascinating, because of course with water they say, can it cut? They didn't know it could cut, and then you can talk about it. And so I think it's quite easy to explain it. But I sometimes get embarrassed, because being a woman in science, I feel very odd when somebody asks me what I do, and then I sort of say what I do. It's like not the normal, it's like a conversation starter at a dinner party or something. I guess my stereotype for a scientist would be somebody who's juggling chemicals and making reactions and that sort of thing, and doesn't have time to wash, and sort of goes around with his head in books and everything. So I'm not quite that bad.
You are wearing a white coat, I have to point out though.
I do, that's only because we're on the water jet, and I don't normally wear it, it's only because we're using abrasives today. So.
Okay, I'll let you off the hook then.
Well, I have two hobbies really. I used to play badminton, and I'm sort of trying to play that. I haven't got a very good club in Nottingham yet. I used to play for one club and have stopped going because the club night got too complicated really. I've started playing the staff student club, and that's been quite fun. And the other hobby I have is flying balloons, and actually I fly balloons, I fly helicopters, I fly paragliders and hang gliders, but really balloons are my main thing. So. Yes, the university have given me a hot air balloon. So, well, I got a grant for a hot air balloon, so you'll see the University of Nottingham balloon flying. We're getting the envelope at the end of December. Well, there's a few things. It depends on the weather, of course, but I hope to go to Thornton and fly from Thornton's factory, because I thought that would be fun to do. Always fly from the campus, it's great to fly here. I'd like to tether it, which means tying it and then taking people up and down in it when the weather's suitable, for people, you know, who are in the university. I'm going to have a raffle to raffle off one staff and one student a flight in it. So, and then the other thing is I'm flying it over the Great Wall of China, and that's hopefully next year in July, and maybe doing a tether in Malaysia at the Malaysian campus, and possibly in China at the Ningbo campus as well. That'd be great. Ah, that is difficult. I don't know, but yeah, definitely something to do with outdoors. Definitely maybe something to do with flying as well. So somewhere between being a helicopter pilot, a balloonist, and a what do you call it, a volcanologist or something like that. I nearly did volcanology, so that would have been great. But and even like not being a presenter, but I was always thinking with the ballooning, you could take a balloon and go to these wonderful places that I go to and make a program about each place, because it's fantastic what you see. So.